Okay, hello everyone. Bri Shields here, and I'm at Feeding the Gulf Coast with Cindy Baggett. Cindy, glad to get to talk to you about what you guys do here in the community. I am doing a fundraiser to try to help raise at least $5,000. That's my first goal, and I may raise the bar if we're able to achieve that too quickly. But I definitely saw that when the pandemic hit and they shut down schools, I had always heard that there were kids who really rely on their meals through school. And I also just knew generally, but not specifics, that there were a lot of people, even in this wealthy country that we live in, who fell through the cracks in the system for all kinds of reasons, were actually literally going hungry. Right. And so I knew that there was a need for organizations like this. And I just thought that would be a great way to give back. So what I want to do is every policy that I sell for the entire summer, we're going to donate 25 meals. And we're going to get into in a little bit how much that costs. Is surprisingly not much money. So we're going to provide a ton of meals, and if you'll donate to the page, you'll find out how many people we can feed with just a simple $1. So any amount is welcome to this page and to reach our goal. And if you are a business or a nonprofit out there and you want to help out, we're gonna get into that. But a lot of what you can do is give money, and you can go a long way with a little bit of money, and you can create your own page just like I've done. It took me like 1 minute to set it up, so it's very easy. So first, what I want to get into, Cindy, is what is your role here at Feeding the Gulf Coast?
So first, thank you so much for just providing us opportunity for us to talk about Feeding the Gulf Coast and what we're doing in the community all the time, but especially during this time. So I am the Vice President of Development and Marketing, and I oversee our fundraising, community engagement, and marketing efforts across our 24 county service area. So that is approximately 23,000 square miles that spans the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. Wow. So our service area ends at the Louisiana-Mississippi line, extends all the way over to Panama City, Bay County, Florida.
Okay, all right, great. Tell us just kind of a background of, because we didn't get into that, who is Feeding the Gulf Coast? What do you do? I mean, you mentioned who you serve geographically, but tell us a little bit more about Feeding the Gulf Coast so people can kind of know who you are.
So Feeding the Gulf Coast is a Feeding America food bank. We're one of 200 Feeding America food banks in the United States. And what that means is that we're the food bank for those 24 counties that I mentioned across those 3 states. And we are the source of support for the people in the community, seniors, families, children who are just in need, who maybe are food insecure, which means there are times throughout the year, through a major portion of the year, where they don't know where their next meal will come from.
Yeah, wow.
So in our community, 1 in 6 individuals, including 1 in 4 children, are food insecure. Wow. So Feeding the Gulf Coast is the food bank that works with partner agencies in the community. We have 400 partner agencies across those 24 counties, and those are churches and other nonprofits who are just really in the heart of the community, who get the food to people who are in need through food pantries, soup kitchens, mobile pantry distributions, just really whatever they can do to help people who are in need. So.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, and you mentioned how you distribute it a little bit. You have partner agencies, so tell us a little bit more about who those agencies are, who the distributors are.
Mm-hmm. So that would be local churches, so other nonprofits. We work with Boys and Girls Club. Locally here in Mobile, we work with Regency Church of Christ. We work in Baldwin County with Prodigy. Like I said, we have 400 across that service area. So just really those community organizations that are there to help people who are in need. And
they're already serving people, so they're able to identify the people that are in need.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if someone needs help, they would visit our website, feedingthegulfcoast.org. They would punch in their zip code, and you would pull up a list within 10 miles of where you are, and it would tell you where you could find a child food distribution site through one of our child nutrition programs, or a food pantry, or a distribution, and that would tell them what was in their community, in their neighborhood, where they could seek help.
Okay, all right, great. Tell us a little bit about how do you actually get food? I mean, are you just going out and buying it at Publix, or are people providing it to you at a lower cost? Tell us how you actually get your hands on the food that you're distributing, because that's a lot of people to feed.
It is a lot of people to feed. So to give you an idea of what that distribution looks like, in 2019, we provided 29 million pounds of food into the community for people in need, and that equates to over 24 million meals, to give you an idea, right? And the food that we're able to provide comes from retail store level partners, so Publix, Walmart, Costco, Winn-Dixie, stores where they are able to provide for us wholesome but unsellable food, so food that maybe is approaching its shelf life date that's printed on the package but is still very usable. Like we talked about, a can of food doesn't really expire until 5 years past the date printed on it, but the store isn't going to sell it past that date. Or produce that maybe is not quite as pretty as the average consumer would want to pay for, but it's just as healthy and nutritious for anyone to eat. So a lot of our food comes from our retail store partners. We get a good bit of our food from the USDA through that partnership. We also have food that's donated through individuals and organizations in the community who conduct food drives on our behalf. And then we do purchase some of our food. So especially during this time, if you think about the shortages,
the increased volume.
That's right, and also the increase in volume, but then the shortages at the grocery store. If some of the shelves are bare and you can't get food, well then they don't have an excess that they would then be donating to us. So that has necessitated us to purchasing a lot more food than we normally would.
Kind of just leading into another thought I had, I was reading that Publix, and there may be other stores doing it, but Publix was good at promoting it. There are farmers, there's been a disruption in the food supply chain because of schools being closed down, and also restaurants had been closed down for so long, and farmers had an excess of food that wasn't being distributed because the supply chains had switched around. And I read an article that Publix was going to be buying that food and getting it to food banks. Have y'all been a recipient of any of that?
We have been. Publix is a tremendous partner for us. They actually work with us in the 3 ways that sustain the food bank: food, feed, and funds. And we talked about that a little bit. So food will be those donated food partnerships, like we talked about, or through Publix. Feed, Publix is one of our best volunteer groups. They come out and they work, and they, the hands and the feet, sorting that food, packing that food for us is wonderful, and then also donations of funds to support the work that we do. But yes, so Publix has been a vital source for us of donating food. The USDA also has the Farmers to Families Food Box program right now, so they've really been trying to bridge that gap between farmers who have an excess of product and then the need in the community that the food banks are reaching. So that's one of the new resources that's been available for farmers and food banks lately.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to plug that because I know when I was reading about this, it was breaking my heart, and I thought, man, I have a truck, I could just go pick up some food, but it sounds like that's not an efficient way. Y'all probably have a better way. So another reason to help support organizations like y'all's.
Well, and you mentioned that. Let me mention too, another way that we get food is actually through farmers, local farmers. So we may have volunteers who are able to go out and glean their crops to get that food so that it doesn't die on the vine or die on their field, or maybe we go out and we purchase it from them because the store didn't want it. So we really do work with farmers in the community, because part of what we do is to not just put food on people's tables, but to put healthy, nutritious food. So that is an important initiative that we have.
That's great, because farmers, everybody knows, are an extremely vital component to society, and we got to keep the farmers, keep them growing that food and keep the cash flowing for them. All right, so have you guys seen, I think you already really answered this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, so we can kind of hit on it more. What kind of increase in demand and need have you seen during the COVID-19 pandemic?
So I think everyone who's had a television and turned it on in the last 2 months has seen the lines at food banks and food pantries across the United States. That just really perfectly illustrates the increase in need. Here along the Gulf Coast, what we've seen at Feeding the Gulf Coast is an increase in web traffic on our website. The high, we peaked at just at 1,100% increase in people visiting our website who were looking for information about food assistance. And that's really significant. And the number of pounds that we've been able to distribute, the number of meals that we've been able to help people with really does match that. So more people have needed help just with the closures and the layoffs and quarantines and people just were not able to go work. People who really wanted to and who were maybe already paycheck to paycheck, who'd never even thought about a food bank or a food pantry before, have really been the people that we've been seeing.
Wow. Well, thank God that y'all are here then to help people who find themselves in that situation.
We can only do it because of partners like you who just really see the need and who want to give back and who are committed to making a difference. So thank you for that.
Yeah, sure. Well, hopefully we can raise some more funds for you guys. And tell me this, because it may be something that people are already thinking. The people that you guys are serving with food, they're falling through the cracks, it sounds like, in the safety nets that our system has in place. When we were talking before the interview, you mentioned that it's not called food stamps anymore, it's the SNAP program.
Right.
But there are different types of government assistance out there for people who are in need, but not everyone is really able to fully access that. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so as you said, the SNAP program is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as food stamps. And that's really just one of those gap fillers for people who are getting back on their feet. It's really one of our goals is to provide resources and to help bring people to stability. So one of the important resources that Feeding the Gulf Coast has is we have a benefits enrollment center. So we actually help people sign up for SNAP benefits for the entire state of Mississippi as well as the entire state of Alabama.
Okay.
Not just our service area, but the entire
you're
state.
helping them get to those benefits.
So we have a really strong outreach team, and they have fielded the volume of increase in calls for people that have needed assistance has just quadrupled in the hundreds. More than 1,000 applications that they completed in the month of April alone, which was far and above what they had done at the same time period last year. So they're hearing heartbreaking stories of people who, again, have never had to ask for assistance before, but now they didn't know how they were going to pay their bills or put food on the table. So while the food bank is really a great source of immediate help, opportunities and programs like SNAP really kind of gap fill for those people who are just in a situation of crisis where they just need a little temporary fix.
Sure. Are you comfortable sharing your personal story that you told me yesterday?
Well, yeah, the example that I gave, because I know that you weren't familiar with food stamps, was years ago I had a job at a very large organization in Mobile. I went to work every day, but I was newly divorced, a single mom of 3, and I didn't make very much money. And I did qualify for food stamps for a short time, but just a slight increase in that amount, the difference between $25,000-$26,000 a year gross income for a mom with 3 children, I no longer qualified for food stamps.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I mean, it really is that there's a fine line. So many people are working and doing, it's not the stereotypical view of what we think about of people who need help. So it's that idea of hidden hunger, people in the community who are doing their best every single day, but just maybe they don't have all the resources that they need. Maybe they have prescription costs or utility costs that they're trying to juggle and decide if they're gonna put food on the table for their family or if they're gonna get that prescription filled.
Yeah, people with health problems, that's a good point that people don't think about. It. Medical costs are very expensive, the cost of health insurance, high deductibles that people have these days that can really hit your bank account hard some months, and you may not have, if you've got a serious medical illness, you've got to buy the drugs, and
absolutely.
I could see that.
And one thing to think about, we are all aware of the increase in unemployment benefits that people have seen as a result of the economic impacts of COVID-19. So very often receiving unemployment benefits will disqualify someone from being
the SNAP program,
eligibility for SNAP, right? And then also we have to think about that SNAP benefits don't pay for some of those necessities like diapers or wipes or cleaning supplies, which are so important to all of us right now. Toilet paper, paper towels, things like that. So really, just a modest amount of SNAP benefits can truly help a family just to redirect some of those dollars to some of the other things.
Some of the other things they need. Yeah, that's great. And then to kind of close this interview out, I want to really emphasize how people can help and how far the money can go. And I'm going to have a link. Anywhere that this video is being watched, there's going to be a link to my donation page so you can give. And I would encourage you strongly to help out this great organization. And I don't care if it's $5 or $500, any amount is helpful. But tell us how far $1 goes. How many meals can we provide?
So every $1 donated to Feeding the Gulf Coast can help provide 5 meals for people in need.
Yeah.
So the example that I gave Bri when we spoke earlier was that if someone calls up and says, how can I help? What do you need more? Do you need food or do you need money? So we're always going to be thankful for any donation, either one. But if you have, say, $25 to spend and you go to the grocery store, you could get a few things and you would make a difference. But if you give that $25 to Feeding the Gulf Coast, then we're able to provide 125 meals to people. And that's not something that you or I, the average consumer, can go and replicate. We can't do that. So even someone who wants to give $5, you could get a few cans for that and maybe a box of mac and cheese. But you're not going to get 5, that meal claim of $1 for 5 meals. So where that $5 could be 25 meals for people.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned like people do food drives. Some businesses and churches will do that, and that's great.
Absolutely.
Of course, we encourage that, right? But,
Always.
But and especially if that's the best way to engage people because they feel good going and getting the food sometimes. But if an organization wants to really make a big difference with their dollars, they could do matching programs, things like that, like they do for United Way, of donating to Feeding the Gulf Coast, and you can have a page set up. You can go to their website, and it's very easy to do. I did it in literally like a minute. It's very easy. But if you're just watching this and you're just an individual who wants to make a difference, please consider donating on the link that's associated with this video, and you can help feed a lot of people.
And for more information, always visit feedingthegulfcoast.org, or if you know someone who needs help, that information can be found on our website as well.
Sure, so we can send people there. Okay, thank you very much, Cindy.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you
your
so
time.
much. I appreciate you.